Hello and welcome everyone. You are in Oracle Insight. Thank you for deciding to stop in and spend some time with me here today. It's great to have you here with me. Now this particular reading is for the upcoming month, and it's particularly important, I think, because it coincides with the new year in the Chinese astrological calendar, and that is the year of the water tiger. So we are newly into the beginning of that, and so I think that the energies about are quite strong. It's a great time to do a reading to give some guidance with what might be in store for this upcoming month. Okie dokie, so let's get on with this. You know how this works. If not, you have three options in front of you, 1, 2, and 3. You are going to take your time, breathe easily, slowly, connect with which of these piles you feel the most drawn to. And once you have chosen, you'll find the timestamps for each of these in the description below. And so you'll head straight to that timestamp and I shall be there waiting to begin your reading. So I shall connect with you then. Hi there, group 1. So you have selected this pile of cards. So let's go ahead, turn these over. So we've got Wisdom of the Oracle here. It says time to go. So that is a relevant energy for this upcoming month. Now we'll start off with these Quantum Oracle cards firstly. Okay, yes, when I shuffled these you came out with 4 actually. I was intending 3, but your group 4 came out, so we'll leave that. You've got peace. Did I show you that? Okay, you've got peace here behind the mask. Fear. And joyous fun. Okay, great. And then with your tarot cards, let's see, you have 6 of Cups, 10 of Rods in this deck. That would be the 10 of Wands, as well as Knight of Rods, Knight of Wands. Okay, great. So now this is a crystal card, so we'll turn that. Oh, Spiritual Awakening. Okay, now this is Saturn return, and this is going to be a suggestion of things to be aware of what not to do, and this would be a suggestion of what you are encouraged to look into or to actually go ahead with. Okay. All right, well this is a dead giveaway, isn't it, with the Spiritual Awakening card there. Maybe in the next piles I'll just turn that over last. With these 2 cards in reverse, the peace and the behind the mask here, there's a feeling of unsettledness. You're entering into this month with some kind of disturbance, maybe just a feeling of being misaligned in some way. You've got behind the mask here as well, which does talk to, in the upright position, it's about wearing a mask, something that actually covers or hinders your true self from actually being revealed or shown. So that's what that is. So if it's in reverse, that actually points to these masks, or this mask being removed, and you actually coming out more aligned with who you truly are and in a more authentic way. So that's really fabulous, because you've got fear here and you've also got the opposite in that you've got joyous fun. So looking at this, it does seem like it's a time of assessment here. It's a time of looking at where you have been, assessing where it is that things need to be left behind. It does look to indicate that you're actually moving on to something new. You're going further along a path towards where you should be going, and in doing so you're leaving a certain part of your life or yourself behind. And I like the fact that with this indication here, this disturbance of peace, now that could be to do with the fact that you were not being true to your inner self by hiding or presenting a particular side of yourself to those around you, to the world, but it wasn't truly you. So it does look like you are moving out. You're moving out of that time of being willing to operate from that sense of inauthenticity. And it looks like you've got fear here and joyous fun. So there is a certain amount of fear here. Whether this fear of whatever it was that you were, for some of you it could be that you were potentially hiding a side of yourself that you were afraid to actually share with others. For others it could just be the fact that you were unaware of, you didn't have a clear understanding that you were actually operating from behind a mask, in a sense, that you were possibly not aware that there were things and ways that you were being that were not truly you, but because given that you've been with the Ten of Wands here, it looks like if that is the case and you're operating from that standpoint, it seems like it's something that you've just gotten used to over time, because it does look to be something that has gone on for a long period of time. Now, with the Six of Cups here, I'm thinking that this could either be that you have been doing this since you were very young, and it has just become that habitual way of operating. And over time, it's just become so burdensome to you with this Ten of Rods here. And it might be that that burden has gotten to a point that you're not really willing to carry it anymore. And so it's calling you to face whatever fear you have. And you can see here with that, the edge of that cliff there, how she's standing looking out, and it looks to be a time where you're being asked to step into and step up to that and actually deal with those fears that may have been hidden, or you had before you, if you did decide to be more aligned and more authentic to yourself by removing whatever mask that you've got on. And you know, we do take on lots of masks and lots of it's like having on lots of hats that you put on in order to perform a certain role, whether you're a parent and then you go to work and then you put on another hat to be whatever it is that's required of you at work. Just all these different facets of yourself, which isn't, it's not like it's not true. It's just that there are, in amongst all of those different facets and different hats that we put on, there is a constant there somewhere beneath that. And this is really talking to that constant becoming more of something that's in the forefront as opposed to being that hidden base that the hat is placed on top of. And so in order for that to be possible, there does seem to be something about facing a fear here, all right? But you've got joyous fun. So that's really suggesting that there is this element of lightheartedness involved in a potential outcome here, or the way to get to the outcome that we're looking for, the solution, is to embrace a certain childishness. It's about reconnecting with your inner child. And I like that because that does speak to potential associations, friends, groups that you can spend time with, that supports and nourishes that sense of joyousness within yourself, and being able to spark more of your sense of being carefree and creative, looking at the bright side of life and the potentials there that you can really build upon, that will light you up. So that's really wonderful. I like that. Now with the Saturn return, so I've placed this in the what not to do, or a suggestion of what not to do, and this is in the to do. So you've got Saturn return. So Saturn is quite a hard taskmaster. It's really asking for structures to be upheld. It's talking about a lot of responsibilities. So given that this is in a position of something that you would be best to be more relaxed within, I really see this, especially with the fact that that joyous fun has come out here, and with the 11th house and friends. It's about not losing that childishness, that inner child of joy and fun and spontaneity, not losing that within the structures that have been established in your lifetime. Okay, and because Saturn, as it is a very hard taskmaster, and it can often bring about a lot of strain and tension and that feeling of discouragement. So that's also about not buckling to that, not feeling burdened under that sense of discouragement, and also not to be so hard on yourself too, because here it does speak to you being able to move more correctly towards you where you need to go, but there's a lot more lightheartedness to it. And especially with this 10 of Wands, you can just see there's this burden here. There's this task of having to carry all these responsibilities here. So this is where you're actually putting down these responsibilities, or the sense of feeling that burden of them. It's about, I'm really getting a sense here that with this Knight of Rods and 10 of Rods, so 10 of Wands and the Knight of Wands, looking to synthesize all of these burdens that you've had to carry, and about transforming it, transmuting it to a point where it becomes here, this wand here, this rod here, that the Knight of Rods now is able to use. Instead of carrying as a burden here, it's about using it as a source of inspiration and an impetus to actually go forward. Yeah, that's wonderful. To go forward in creation, doing something that's going to be more about you taking control of something. How you can lightly hold this rod here and this wand here casually, as if it looks like it's casually resting on his shoulder, like it's no weight at all. And of course it wouldn't be, because it's that single one. So I really see this as, there's something that happens here where there's this transmutation of energies here from this burden to this, like this inspired action to move forward. From the 10 of Rods to the Knight of Rods. And I'm seeing it's something, I'm actually looking at it here as that, I get a sense mostly it's about facing the fear. And it's that facing of the fear that then allows you to transmute this burden into something, the energy of inspiration, inspired action to propel you forward. So that's really fabulous. Can you see that? Yeah, and with the 11th house and friends, see, that just fits in nicely with the joyous fun too, because this card is talking about making group connections, being able to align with people who are of the same mindset as you. And so whatever it is that maybe for some of you, you felt that to reveal what was behind the mask would mean that you'd be isolated, just like on this cliff here. and you were fearful of being ostracized or not being included in a collective of meaning, feeling that sense of meaningfulness. This is really showing that you needn't fear that at all, because there are people that are about the same mindset and have that same intentions, have that same heart, where you will be able to align with them in a very harmonious manner, and that's really going to support this joyous fun. It's a sense of freedom here. This is what I'm getting here. It's actually, when it comes down to it, it's that sense of freedom that you're going to gain from being able to face fears, being able to be more aligned with yourself, your inner self, and in that, you're going to have a sense of being carefree, being more open and expansive. As I said, with this selenite and spiritual awakening card, for a lot of you that could indicate a stage of spiritual awakening that you're going through, because this is really talking about the deepening of your spirituality. And you know, when you're going through those times where those levels of deepening are occurring, there will be fear, there will be the sense of disruption and confusion, not being at ease, but that's all part and parcel of this transformation and this movement that you'd be going through. So that's just normal. So that is really, really, really positive. That's very good. And I like that with this Knight of Rods and creativity, because being part of a group, a collective that you're more aligned with in terms of your heart and mind and soul, it's also very important to be able to have that individuality as well within that, which is part of this joyous fun. It's about you bringing your uniqueness to that group collective and being recognized and appreciated within that collective for that truly unique person that you are. And once again, I'm drawn to the behind the mask here, because that might actually be part and parcel of that uniqueness that you may have been hiding out of fear for being different, or a sense that you may be ostracized. But this is really supporting you in embracing that uniqueness, because that's you and you've this made. Yeah, look at this. You're walking this path and you're leaving the old behind and you're walking forward towards this freedom here and the joyous fun. Oh, I love that. Okay, there you go. All right, so it looks like it's a big month for you, Group 1. You've got some energies that need to be played out there. You're very well placed to be able to deal with that, be able to harness those energies in such a way that you can use it like the Knight of Rods here, allow it to propel you forward in your growth. So that's fabulous. Congratulations, well done. All right then. Okay, so group number 1. Those are the energies that are potentially in play for you for this upcoming month. First month in the year of the water tiger. I certainly hope that this is going to lead you onwards and upwards to greater things. Be safe, be well, and I look forward to connecting with you again in another reading. Hi there, welcome Group 2. So you have selected this pile, so we're going to go ahead and turn these cards over. Now this is the Wisdom of the Oracle card, and this is the Tribe. So that Tribe card has overarching energies for you during this upcoming month. Now we're going to start off with Quantum of the Oracle cards. Okay, so you've got Loss there, Kindred Partnership, and Creative Endeavour in reverse. With the Tarot, you've got 4 of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, and 7 of Swords. Now that's a crystal card. In the first group, I turned that over first, but I'm actually going to wait until we've finished reading these cards and then I'll turn that over last. So now this is Jupiter return and benefits, and this is going to be sitting in the suggestion of what you should be aware of, as in potentially something that you really shouldn't be doing. Okay, or be mindful of. And this one here is, okay, Grand Cross Provoker, and that is in the position of a suggestion of what you can do. Okay, so you've got the tribe. So this is pointing to associations, it's pointing to fitting in, finding your niche within a collective, within a group of some kind. Yeah, there's a connection there, support, belonging. That's really speaking to belonging somewhere. Now you've got loss, kindred partnership, and then creative endeavor in reverse. This month is either starting off with the remnants of some kind of sense of loss. You can see here with that man standing here and that boat they're sailing off, it's about experiencing some kind of loss, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a project, whether that's inspiration. That can be a sense of a feeling of loss of something, or an actual event or person or thing. Okay, and then you've got kindred partnership and creative endeavor. So it looks like, regardless of whatever loss you've experienced, there seems to be a connection here. Now, looking at the tribe, there is a sense of belonging in a group. Now, that could be something that, if you haven't experienced that already, it does look to be on the cards here, and that is going to be something that is definitely coming up. And I would say that with the kindred partnership, there could be, if you are finding a connection within a group and that sense of belonging within a group, there might be one particular bond that is more meaningful and deeper than with anybody else. There's something here about this kindred partnership which does suggest that you have a deeper bond with one particular person within that group that you might be entering into. And with creative endeavor in reverse, that does speak to writer's block comes to mind here. It's like there's something, some kind of creative endeavor that you have been developing, whether that's a project, that could be a project, that could be something artistic, painting, writing, and there seems to be something that's not quite going your way, whether that's a blockage in terms of that creative flow, or remnants of energies from this loss here that is causing or influencing this stagnation here. Or it could actually be that there's a lot of enjoyment with this new connection that you're finding, that it is distracting you from the endeavors that you had previously been working on, and that has caused a bit of a standstill with that creative endeavor. So that could be the case too. Now you've got Jupiter return and benefits in the what not to do position, and the Grand Cross Provoker in the what to do position, which is an interesting placement for these cards. So Jupiter return, that is talking to expansiveness, it's talking to an increase of something. Jupiter does typically inflate things, so that could be inflation of the positive as well as the negative. So given that this is in the what not to do, my feeling with this is that with Jupiter and its tendency to inflate and to potentially exaggerate on things, I'm getting a sense, if this is to do with creative endeavors, I feel that this would be encouraging you to maybe not think too broadly, potentially focus in on the finer details, be a little bit more, be a little bit more focused with the nuances with things, the smaller details, as opposed to looking at things in a more expansive way. There's a cautionary here also with rushing into things, not being reckless about something or choices that might be made, and even a sense of, with Jupiter there could, and so many benefits, sometimes that can equate to being like overindulging, even a tendency to laziness. So we want to make sure that we keep things into perspective, and especially with this kindred partnership here, there could be a real being away with the clouds and really feeling swept away by this whole sense of connection and joy, to the point that these commitments or the application that you had previously applied to some kind of project or endeavor is being put on the back burner. These cards are really encouraging you to be mindful of that. And if there was some kind of block here, that might be to do with if there was some kind of confusion, because I'm looking at the Ace of Swords, I'm looking at the swords here, which does point to the thought patterns, the mindsets. It's talking to communication. So if there has been something that has confused you, and that confusion has led to a stagnation here or some kind of blockage in that creative flow, this Ace of Swords showing up here, and this does show me that that confusion will be cleared away. There is going to be a better understanding of whatever it is that you're wanting more clarity on. And with the Seven of Swords there too, I really get the sense here then that this clarity allows you to, it's like process of elimination comes to mind here. It's about, like, you have 7 options in front of you, and through this clarity and through this understanding and this awareness, you are able to remove 5 of those options, those potential, and like this return, Jupiter return, those potential excessive details or information. Remember how I was saying Jupiter's kind of inflates things? So this Ace of Swords allows you to trim off the excess, where you now have these 2 swords standing, and that's where the decision making comes in. It becomes a lot easier because of the clarity that this Ace of Swords offers. So with that being the case, then that should assist you in being able to clear away whatever creative blocks you might be encountering here with this creative endeavor in reverse. And this 4 of Pentacles, I like the way how that crown kind of, it kind of matches here with this crown on the Ace of Swords. It's like that Ace of Swords and that crown, it matches with this crown here and this pentacle at the top. So there's this kind of a lifting up of energies from these 3 down at the bottom here, where it is now above that wall, whatever obstacles that you may have experienced. And now this 1 pentacle here is above that wall. It's actually literally sitting on top of that wall, and it's in the clear. There's no obstructions behind it, to the side of it, above it. It's just free there, and that's what I'm getting the sense of here. And indeed, this, where it is, this wall is actually in support of it now. Yeah, whatever it is that may have been holding you back in some way, that does look to be, with this Ace of Swords here, there is this clarity and this removal of that confusion. Now you've got Grand Cross Provoker here. Now that is in the position of the encouragement towards what you probably should be looking at. So that's an interesting card to have in that position. I really get the sense here, because the Grand Cross and Provoker, it's about conflicting energies of tension. And so I'm getting a sense here that it's about a stronger force at play. It's like it's asking you to define what's the strongest force at play here. It's about recognizing that energetic pull and concentrating on that. Because when there is tensions happening, a lot of the times, especially in movement and in growth, it becomes a catalyst. And so whatever disruption or push and pull of energies that are happening here, it's really about you being mindful of those energies at play and actually being within those energies, but being aware of what's happening, so you're not being thrown about at the mercy of those energies. You're actually centered, like that's you in the middle, just centered. Okay, so regardless of these conflicting energies that are in play around you, you're the dominant force that, and I don't mean dominant by overpowering the energies, because that won't work. It's not about fighting the energies. It's more about recognizing that those energies are at play. Because of that awareness, then you are better placed to be more centered and more grounded within those disruptive energies. Okay? This is where I love the fact that this Ace of Swords is here, because this Ace of Swords, and I love that it's in the center here too, it's like it's got pride of place. It's about success. Can you see the crown there, the laurels there? It's like, regardless of this, you have that essence of truth, that essence of awareness, of clarity. You know what's going on. It's about being able to manage your participation within those energies and not being railroaded by them. That's really about awareness, being aware of these potentially disruptive forces at play, and you being, as much as you can, centered and stable. Just like this coin on the wall here, that looks to be very well set, doesn't it? And even the fact that that wall is behind this person here with the 3 pentacles, the 4 pentacles and the 4th one up there, it's like a solid wall and backing, like you've got this. There's no sense of feeling like you're at the mercy of the winds or anything. You're very steady. So I like that. That's really great. Okay, so now we're going to turn over this card, which, fairy stone. That's fairy stone and fertility. So fertility. The only 2 cards that would be pointing to relationship and family here would be, and they're major cards, but like the kindred partnership and the fertility. So for some that could apply, where this is really about the beginnings of, beginnings of a relationship and a family. But to be honest, I don't get that sense from this reading. This is more to do with some kind of creation, endeavor, project, artistic expression, something of that nature. Of course, it could be to do with work. So with this fertility, the fertility and the fairy stone, that's really about creating something. It's about birthing something. It looks like there's a timing aspect here, and the time is now. This upcoming month is going to be quite pivotal with regards to how something is being created, something is being birthed, regardless of any blocks that may occur. I think group 2, as you move through this time, this Grand Cross Provoker here, I think, is very pivotal. The way that you handle any kind of energies, disruptive energies or provoking energies around you is going to lay a foundation here that's going to set you up very soundly to move forward with whatever creation is happening that you've got your hands in right now. And so with that being the case, with that tribe card there and the kindred partnership, so this is about, for a lot of you then, given that it looks like there is this card here with the creative endeavor, that seems to be the focal point for this energetic outcome. So with the kindred partnership, the tribe there, that does really show me that you are supported in this endeavor here, whether that is people, a tribe, a community, a collective that you are within that actually supports you to achieve this yourself, or that achievement is going to be gained very much within the collective efforts of the tribe and that partnership there. That's very possible as well. But it certainly looks like there will be this renewed energy for this creative endeavor there. I just keep coming back to that card because that seems to be it seems to have a very strong pull towards it. You've got your hands into something quite magical there, I feel, group 2. Yeah, so once that confusion's gotten rid of, process of elimination, those options are removed, you'll see more clearly about how to proceed. Okay, so group 2, those are the energies in play for you for this upcoming month. Wishing you all the best as you move forward. Be safe, be well. I look forward to connecting with you again very soon. Hi there and welcome. This is group 3. So group 3, you have chosen these cards. Now I'm going to go ahead and reveal what we have here. You've got Wisdom of the Oracle here, and that is Unfinished Symphony. Next up, let's get some Quantum of the Oracle first. Okay, you've got Happy Success in reverse, Angels of the Four Directions there, and then Conflict. It's the third card. With Tarot, you have Knight of Swords, okay, Judgment, and then Six of Pentacles. We've got a crystal card which we'll leave to the end. This is, Earth, element and stability. That's going into the position of a suggestion of what not to do. And then this is Capricorn, I use, and that's going into the encouragement of something to do. So you've got Unfinished Symphony here. So that's like an overarching energy at play for the upcoming month. And that's really about completion of a cycle, the needing to complete a cycle, the need for a closure you might be experiencing, or there could be the sense of a lack of closure, but this card is calling for a closure of something, a completion of something. Now you've got Consciousness in reverse here and Happy Success. So that is talking to the opposite of happy success. It's talking to mindset, thought patterns that aren't serving you, that aren't making you, supporting that happy feeling, reward in your life. It's really about dark thoughts, and you know what, and I'm looking at this Knight of Swords, and doesn't that look like a very dark Knight of Swords, a heavy sense of energy? And so, you know, the swords do point to the expression, the communication. Yeah, that is a very heavy looking Knight of Swords, isn't it? Even the eyes, you've got that red reflection there. My goodness, that is very scary. Anyway, so I'm just looking at the fact that these match up perfectly here. So this Happy Success card in reverse and this Knight of Swords, that is like one and the same in that imagery there. That just does not look like a happy chappy there at all. So there we go. That's my 2 cents worth there. Okay, but moving right along. Now we've got the Spirit Angels of Four Directions. Okay, so in upright, so that is, you've got the 4 archangels. Specifically, Archangel Uriel is connected with the Akashic Records and is supporting you in dispelling any confusion or heaviness in thought patterns, etc. So that's perfectly placed for this Happy Success in reverse and this Knight of Swords here, so that's great. And then Raphael is there also. He really assists in your relationships, if I remember that correctly, so in regards to this deck. Now, I love the fact that, can you see here where you've got this card with the angel here with his arms outstretched like that, and just like the Judgment card, it's like that's a reiteration of these energies, isn't it? I love that. That's like 1 and 2. Oh my gosh, like that's 1 and 2. That's like one and the same, and this seems to be the same as well. Oh, well, that is interesting. All right. And then you've got the conflict here, which does speak to some disruptions, conflicting energies, conflicting circumstances. You're trying to make choices. It's not very easy. You've got decisions to be made here with this conflict card. And you can see that it's being tossed about here in these waves and struggling to keep things afloat. So those energies, even though these energies here aren't that supportive in terms of an easier experience of things, you've got very well placed here the angels of four directions in the middle. So that really does point to the fact that even irrespective of the fact that this card is talking specifically to Archangel Uriel and Archangel Raphael, this is really about spirit being present, that sense of the divine being present within you, around you, and it is holding the fort here. So that's really fabulous. That tells me that you've got some very strong and supportive guidance around you during this time. So that's really encouraging. That's wonderful. Because it would seem with this unfinished symphony, see, that also speaks to lessons that need to be learned. There are situations and cycles that need to be completed and a closure needs to be reached. And given that with the angels here and the judgment card also, that's really talking to being called to step up, to take ownership of something, asking you to level up in a sense. So I'm really getting a sense here with this unfinished symphony that there are some things in play at the moment that you're being called to settle. And this is the time where even if the settling of it is not achieved in this month, it's certainly about moving towards that settlement. Because in order to move on, things need to be settled and need to be closed. This is really asking you, are you wanting to leave this symphony unfinished? Are you wanting to leave the note hanging up in the air and with the potential of reoccurring and going around again? Or are you wanting to ensure that that is settled, that note written, and that piece finished, allowing for movement on? Because if you are willing to step up into that, because you've got the Six of Pentacles here, which is talking to balance. So as opposed to the conflict, really struggling to keep a hold of the ropes here, keeping that mast up in its right position, this person can sail safely through the storm. This is you actually having successfully navigated your way through that storm, and now you're in balance. See, the scales here are in balance. You've got 3 pentacles on either side, and you're right in the middle here. So you're aligned. And you're steady, and that's the position that you want to achieve in the end. Okay, that's really fabulous. I like that. Now with the earth element here, stability in the no position, and then the Capricorn I use in the yes position. So that is really talking to me, and if this is something that you're encouraged not to do, this is about, I'm getting a sense about not being too fixed in your viewpoints, in your habits. This is really saying don't be so fixated on where you are that you're not willing to try something new, go somewhere new, be able to develop into something different. Earth is really talking about the tangible, and so I really get a sense here that there's going to be a call for you to be more willing to trust in the intangible, trust in the possibility of what you cannot see right now. Okay, and with the Capricorn in I really feel from that, because Capricorn is about the practical. It's certainly about being able to apply all the knowledge that you have gained. It's about being able to apply it in a practical sense, so it supports you in your movement forward, in your movement towards better things for yourself, advancing in life. So with this one too, it's about a steady progress. I'm just looking at the Knight of Swords. Now this Knight of Swords isn't actually shown or depicted to be rushing anywhere, but there can be this sense of urgency, recklessness to move forward. And so this is really talking more to being focused, having objectives and working steadily towards that, not actually rushing anywhere and trying to get anywhere sooner than when you need to or when you're ready to get there. And definitely with the Capricorn card here and the Six of Pentacles, that does talk to more of a steadiness, a steady approach, a pace within which the scales will not be imbalanced and off kilter. And I love it's like you putting all your ducks in a row. Can you see how that's in alignment there? So it's like whatever lessons that you have learnt in life, then you've got lots up your sleeve where you can actually apply it in a very practical sense, which is very Capricorn, applying that knowledge in a practical sense to advance you further in wherever it is that you're going in life. And of course, we want you going in a positive direction, towards things that are going to be joyous, fulfilling, satisfying, and all things wonderful for you. Okay, so that's what we're wanting, and this is part of what you're encouraged to do in order to get there. Now with this crystal card, it's learning. Look at that, learning. Okay, so all right, so I was talking about lessons with this one, about learning lessons, about being able to learn a lesson and then complete the cycle, complete it, close it, because that learning there and that completion allows that cycle to end, doesn't it? And when that ends, then you can move forward. And that's exactly what the Judgment's calling for, this sense of acceptance. It's this acceptance of whatever these lessons are that you have had to experience in this build up to this month. There are life lessons, and these cards are really speaking to the fact that there is a lot of wisdom that comes about from life. There's lots of wisdom that comes about from lessons learnt in your actual day-to-day living of life, because those are very powerful lessons that affords you, a deep sense of wisdom with that understanding and that learning experienced hands-on. So this is really a month of assessment, isn't it? It looks like it's a month of really embracing where you've been, taking the lessons and really coming to grips with all that it entails for you. And it seems like there's some kind of acceptance, this radical sense of acceptance that's required here in order to move on, especially with that Judgment. My gosh, that Judgment there with the angels, it's like a time of reckoning. You're taking steps to time of reckoning for yourself, within yourself. That's pretty heavy, that's pretty deep, but you're up to it. Group 3. You're up to it. You've got lots here that is really pointing to a growth, like a leveling up too, because of what you've been through in life and all that you've learnt. And now it's a time to actually acknowledge that, accept it all as much as you can, find some peace with that, and then be ready to move on. But can you imagine the benefits that will be following this growth period? This radical acceptance and this closure, because the cards, the way they're lying here, this does speak to some pretty heavy energies. But my gosh, when heavy energies like this are in play, it really points to the time after this experience to be one of an absolute release and like even an extreme opposite. So you can just look forward to that renewal that's going to come about once you've released all of this. And that any sense of powerlessness that you may have been experiencing that has potentially kind of fed the conflict and the disturbances, those energetic disturbances around you and within you, there's going to be a time where that is being released and it's being cleansed and it's being cleared because you've learnt the lesson. And that's where we want you. We want you to be in that position of having learnt the lesson. Close that chapter, close that book, and now you're into a state of more harmony and balance, like with the Six of Pentacles. So this is where we're going to move you towards, all right? Okay, that's what we'll focus on. Very good. All right, group 3, those are the energies in play for you potentially over this next month. They're strong ones, but you've got a lot of wonderful support here with Spirit and your angels. So you are very well placed to be able to go through this in a way where you will find that peace and that balance and that harmony on the other side of it, okay? Bless. So group 3, those are the energies in play for you in this upcoming month. Be safe, be well, and I look towards being able to connect again very soon.